Today's video, we're going to talk about scaling demand gen campaigns on Google Ads and how you can get profitable scaling these suckers to the moon by understanding these key concepts I'm going to explain on this video. And actually start with a little bit of conversions and turn it into a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, given that each conversion you get gets you a little bit closer to the goal of getting hundreds a month, even thousands a month, depending on what you're doing. I've got case studies here that explain how to actually do this and how much you can scale. Kitchen remodeling, mold removal product business, but I'm also going to talk about a bunch of other type of businesses in this video as well, so you understand how to get demand gen campaigns to scale for your business as well. For that matter, I'm going to start off by talking about how to set up a demand gen campaign and what it actually takes to make millions of dollars for your business running them, because you absolutely can do this if you follow these instructions. Then I'm going to get into how you actually scale it once you have a profitable template, because obviously if you do not have the template set up, the right ad, the right targeting, right from the start, you're never going to get to the scaling part. Obviously, there is no scaling if you don't do that first. But once you are ready to scale, there's a particular technique to get these campaigns to scale that I'm going to talk about in this video. With that said, I want to first start off by saying the number one thing with demand gen campaigns that people get screwed up is they don't have a good offer on their ad. Okay, they just think, oh, I offer kitchen remodeling. I'll put on my ad, I offer kitchen remodeling. And everybody who's on a computer who sees my ad is just gonna run, they're gonna trip over each other to get to my website and inquire, because they were just dying to get a damn kitchen remodeling job yesterday. As if nobody offers it, nobody could go to Google and search for this at any time, anywhere. Ultimately, you have to get this through your head first if you're gonna make the millions with this campaign type. Now, when I say offer, it doesn't have to be necessarily, we offer high-tech kitchen remodeling, which that in itself is actually not even that good of an offer to begin with. You want to spice up what you're doing by putting a little bit better packaging around it or different work around it. I'm going to give you several examples here of other markets where we've done this, so you can understand how to do this for yourself. One of the more common ones that we use to come up with a so-called offer to put on our ad, because, frankly, you could be a dog shit copywriter. You don't know how to write an ad. But if you find the right offer, your demand gen campaign's gonna work. It's gonna scale. Dramatic demonstration is one of the easiest ones for the average Joe to pull off. It can be, regular business owner. Think of a way to record, and this obviously works with products more so, that you could show your product in a way that people will stop what they're doing, almost half crap their pants, and say, I have to see this video. Or I have to click on this ad because it looks obscene what's going on. One of my favorite were a company that sold them. This was an R client. It was a big ass fan company. And they dragged the thing, behind a truck and everything else. And that was a part of the ad, showing how much this thing could take before it would actually break. Okay. I actually stole this for a toolbox company, and we would beat the crap out of a toolbox. We've done this since with mailboxes. When somebody sees a video of someone beating the ever-living piss out of a mailbox, you're going to stop and be like, what the hell is going on here? And of course, you're tricking the user into considering your product, because by the time you've watched the whole damn ad, you're saying, what? How the hell are they able to beat this mailbox with a baseball bat and doesn't dent? All my neighbor kids that are trying to beat up my mailbox, on Friday nights when they're all drunk, they're not able to do it anymore. I got to buy that mailbox. And it doesn't have to be necessarily even tied to the product itself. It could just be some weird thing. You're just holding the product, obscene voice. It doesn't matter. You got to get their attention so that you can actually show them what the product does. But it's obviously best if you can figure out a way, do the dramatic demonstration. It actually shows off the feature of the product and why you want people to buy. If it's a bright flashlight, you blind the hell out of somebody with it. And then you're like, oh, wow, I know now that flashlight is bright. That's the main way for a product that will run ads, but not just simply that, because in some occasions, that might be okay, but we'll get much better results with some of these other ones. Our second one being on the list here, I should say, discounts. Obviously, this is kind of a smooth brain move for most companies, because if you just try to lower your price to try to sell, you're going to end up with less margins and you're not going to be able to really scale. That said, okay, and this is technically, if we're talking about, this is a legal gray area, we'll just say, I'll just give that disclaimer, but I mention all the time to people at our firm, you're better off raising the crap out of your prices so you could have the wiggle room to offer discounts, because you'll sell way more in that case than if you just try to sell the product at a flat price and that's it, okay? Because offering a discount builds urgency. So if I'm in the market for a fishing rod and I see fishingrodstore.com is offering 25% off all rods, I'm gonna jump on this ad, not just maybe later, but now. Very effective model to get high click-through rate on an ad from somebody that if you already know that they're going to be buying a fishing rod soon because they just like buying fishing rods, they're a known buyer of fishing rods, this is a very effective way to make a demand gen campaign work. And that's really what it's about. It's not meant to get somebody who wouldn't buy to buy, but it's a person that you know is in market for buying. It just gets them to come to your website because, hey, if I'm going to buy from somebody, might as well buy from this guy. You also got free samples, okay? We use this all the time with cleaning companies. Commercial cleaning companies, residential cleaning companies, to give you one example. So a lot of guys won't want to offer an initial cleaning of the house or the office to get a client. But the ones that do are freaking smart because they understand how to calculate client lifetime value of a client. Assuming you already know that if you get, for every 5 free cleaning clients, you're going to get 1 person who stays past the first cleaning, and they're going to be on average want to get 16 cleanings on average. You work out what you have to pay to give the other 4 cleanings with no follow-up business to get the one where there is follow-up business. You take that and then you obviously factor in how much less you're going to have to pay on advertising giving out a free cleaning when nobody else is in your market. And you just make the math work, ultimately. We've had chocolate brands, to give you another example. We just literally will send you a free bar of boutique custom chocolate to your doorstep for you to try it. Why? Because it's kind of hard to convey how good chocolate is without actually trying it. Realistically, right? Like, you can tell me all day how good this is, and I can convince you pretty well, but it's just not quite the same as just sending the chocolate to me. Even though you should technically do both. You should talk it up so that when they get it, their expectations are sky high, and then they're gonna think what you told them is what the chocolate is because they tasted it, and now you market them later on the same chocolate and they'll buy through another ad. In a lot of occasions, just giving it away, a small piece, a small sample is the way to go with your demand gen campaigns. Guarantees. We've had, for example, with this, an aviator sunglass company that needed anti-glare itself. Because when you're a pilot, there's certain glasses that you have that will help you see. What we ultimately did was we just said, hey, user, if you find a pair of sunglasses for yourself as a pilot that actually help you see better than these, we'll give you not just your money back, double your money back, because we wasted your time, okay? People see this type of thing on an ad, and they're thinking, what in the freaking hell is this? 200% money back? It's something that really takes you back. Oh, geez. Even though it's the same product at the end of the day, you're just putting a little bit of, glitter on it, if you will, to get it to move. People will say, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to get scammed. No, I can't do that for you. Realistically, you could put terms on your money back guarantee. You could say, you have to show the product that's better. You have to show physically that it is better. It decreases glare less than our product. And at the end of the day, it's impossible to get the guarantee, but it will get you a sky-high click-through rate on your ad, which is where the money is made. Because when you have high click-through rates, you have low cost per click, and you have high ROI in that case. That's what you're ultimately going for with the ads. And then on the conversion rate side, it makes the users think, I don't have to look around because I know this product has to be the best. Otherwise, there's no way in hell they would stay in business with this double your money back guarantee. We do this in the cosmetic space, wrinkle removal creams, all this stuff. Why? Because at the end of the day, when somebody has to prove why the wrinkle removal cream did not work as well as some other one, people are freaking inherently lazy. They're not going to do it. And a few people will come through and you give them 5% of people you need to give them double their money back, but you made $1 million in sales in the process, so who gives a damn? Warranties, okay? Some markets, reliability and durability really is the peak factor at hand. You got to do research on your own market to figure out what people are going to respond to the most. And the great way to do that, by the way, is to read your competitors' reviews, what they're bitching about, what they praise their competitors. That's ultra viable information for this to create a demand gen campaign ad. And then with that, if you know that people are tired of the shitty other products, okay, number one, try to make it in the USA and give it away or sell it that way, because that'll get people's attention right away. I invest in companies that are USA made products because they sell so well, so easily now, because nobody does it. You could just slap a 20-year, 30-year, 40-year warranty on your product, which frankly, hey, anybody offering a warranty doesn't know if it's going to last that long. They're just assuming it is. They offer the best product they can. And if somebody eventually comes back, wants their money back, you give it to them. That right there simplifies the buying process for the user. It says, hey, I know there isn't any other products where I could buy this particular house paint with this particular warranty out there, so it has to be the best. You're simplifying decision-making process for the buyer, and you're doing it in such a concise way that you could literally put 20-year warranty on an ad, and they already know what you're talking about. You don't have to spend 2 minutes on a sales video explaining why it's actually better, the molecules or this and that, and at the end of the day, they just want to see that it's better. And you talk in a more dumbed down language, you're going to get more sales, because frankly, and this, you can read this elsewhere, the best sales copy is written at a 5th grade level. Why? Because it's easier to interpret the information. Some people are stupid. Even if you're selling to a high IQ audience, it would still convert better at a dumbed down level with not using big words, because it's easier to digest the information. The easier it is to figure out why they should buy, the more sales you're going to get. You can put that down on paper and you can bank on it. Testimonials. Oh, and by the way, with the warranties, the house paint was the example I was going to give there. We literally took the house paint, we put a 25-year warranty on it. That in itself made the entire company just have that one aspect that we could put on all our advertising, not just demand gen campaigns. Why? Because again, nobody gives a damn or wants to figure out, look at some matrix that talks about solids and paint. They just want to know what's the best. And when everybody else doesn't have any freaking balls to offer that, even though the product would last 20 years, we do it and we clean up. It's that simple. Testimonials and case studies. There's another way to do this. Now, technically, most markets, this is not the way to go. Just saying you have a case study that shows you got great results for an accounting client. Nobody gives a shit about this, okay? However, in some markets, it matters because there's so little proof out there that anything works. And you're in a market that people inherently, first and foremost, don't buy because they don't trust who the hell is marketing to them. SEO services is probably the #1 market I can think of. And this is where we did it in this particular market, to where all we did to sell the SEO services. And I say this to guys that are trying to pitch me SEO on all the time, because of course they spam me like they spam everybody else. If you're so good at SEO, show me 15 clients that you rank right now, and took them from 0 ranking or almost none to ranking like hell. You show me that, I'll hire you. Simply put, no need for any other discussion. When I had a client reach out to me and want to talk about how to find clients for local map pack rankings, he already was able to show me, hey, look at this. We got this client that started here. They went here. This client started here. It was obvious already what we needed to do. Let's just put all this into an actual little pitch on our landing page, and let's put on our demand gen ad in this case, when people are already looking for marketing services, because this is an audience you can target on Google Ads. Hey, we got 15 examples of companies that are making millions of dollars have ranked their companies on the local map pack when they didn't rank before. That's the basic message that we had there. And they click through and they see the case studies they want to hire. Everybody wants to hire an SEO company that actually works and is profitable. It's just a question of who can they trust. And when you can show the companies and the actual company itself, and you can go to the company, verify with the company that yes, you did get them that result. Yes, they're making tons of money. That's all you need, frankly. That's a perfect example of a market where it would work. This isn't going to work when you're selling brownies. Nobody gives a shit about your brownie case study. In a low trust market, that's clutch. Demand gen campaigns, of course, you could do video and image type ads, carousel ads as well. Generally speaking, I recommend all of them, because if one works with your audience that you found that you can target here, that I'm going to go over next, all the other ones will work, okay? And not only that, but if one of these angles work, you should do the others and find out how many of these other ones will work, because that's going to be key in scaling. Similar to kind of how Facebook ads work, you can't just run one Facebook ad and clean up. I mean, you can in some occasions if it's a really broad market, but in general, that's not how you make the millions with it. You come up with an ad, then another angle, then another angle, then another angle, then another. Let's try to make it in a static version instead of a video ad. Now let's do a carousel, blah, blah, blah. And you keep going with it. With all that said, none of this matters unless you're able to get the targeting right. Now, going into this, okay, the key thing here is you're going to start with the tried and true and proven ways to target your ads that are people in market for what you sell, okay? People that are searching on Google and typing in buying keywords. So if you're selling kitchen remodeling services, they're on Google and recently having searched for kitchen remodeling contractors, stuff like that. So you know for sure they're in market for what you're selling. You do this through something called a custom intent audience. I'm not going to go into how to set that up right now. You can Google it. It's not that hard to figure out. You target those people first. Then if you tap that, you target then second competitor keywords. So anybody typing in your competitor's name, you target them, even though that's not as good because a lot of them are just in a lot of markets asking about order statuses and stuff, but it's still, you know, some of that traffic, if you can get in front of them, are buyers, obviously, and it's more than like 1%. So you target those people, you get all you can out of that. Then you go after indirect competitors and lead ups. So to give you an example of this, we sold a mole removal product. We would actually market to people who are going to dermatology clinics locally. Why? Because ultimately, if you go to a dermatology clinic, a lot of the people going there, at least 1% of the clients there, which the 1% rule is kind of like the rule of the land in terms of display ads. If you can get in front of 100 people and there's at least one buyer in there, you can make money with that audience. We just targeted those people and we got, sales that way because we knew if they do this, it correlates with our purchases, our customers we get. So that's an audience we should target itself. Also, you can do lead up for our mailbox company. We figured out statistically that people through Google's own data that they gave us for free, that people who normally buy a mailbox they're currently planning on renovating their house at that time. Weirdly enough, we market to people who are currently renovating their house, and we end up having a profitable audience that we can target, of which you can use Google's free data by uploading your customer list and seeing the data that they tell you, the affinity audiences that match up with your customer base. You can go to a company called Axiom and give them your customer list. They'll tell you of the 40,000 unique traits they track on the US population, which ones line up with your customers. Do they like fast food? Blah, 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 blah. You find 2 or 3 things that line up with your customers. Typically, you market to people with a custom combination audience on Google Ads. That must have this. They must like fast food. They must like going to church. And they must like skiing. And then you go after those people, and now you got an audience that you can target. So that's what I'm talking about there. Those are the low-hanging fruit ways to target your ads. And in that order, they're typically going to be, this is most profitable, the buying keywords, then the competitor keywords, then the indirect competitors. So you can make your campaign scale into millions and millions of dollars a year in sales when you run demand gen campaigns if you're in a fairly broad market. If you're in a super niche market, you are going to be able to make it work. The general rule with this to follow is the 0.1% rule. So if you know at least 1 out of 1,000 people in the US population or your market, wherever you're at, whatever country you're marketing in for that matter, can buy, then you can scale a demand gen campaign past what I just went through here. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck to this and that's it. It's not going to scale past that. Even though you can make a ton of money with this in and itself, you won't scale using optimized targeting, which is how you actually scale. Now, I've talked about in other videos about how Google's optimized targeting for display campaigns, that is the way to scale this. You're going to turn on optimized targeting for your campaigns. Then you're going to scale hard. Why? Because you're training Google's algorithm/system on who buys from the low-hanging fruit here. And then once you have around 10,000 conversions, or at least a few thousand, Google's going to have enough data on who's buying, the traits that match up with those people who buy. That is, they like to visit this website. They like to say this on their phone when they're, have a Google app installed on their phone. And they find these clues. And then ultimately, once they have a bead on your customer, what the typical behavior is leading up to a purchase like that, in addition to traits that they have, desires they have, they can just run and find your customers on their own, just like a Facebook does on their own. So this is just to train the algorithm, so to say. And optimized targeting does a great job if you have a certain minimum amount of conversion data. You can have 10,000 conversions on your demand gen campaign, or you can upload customer lists. So you can have a 10,000 customer list and that can get you there, practically speaking. Or it could be from other campaigns you're running, search campaigns, PMAX campaigns even, because Google is going to utilize these data from the other campaigns to help run the demand gen campaign. They do actually do this. That's your kind of formula right there. If you're in a market where more than 1 in 1,000 people typically buy your product or service, you can scale to the moon, as the title of this video says, with optimized targeting with demand gen campaigns once you turn it on. Now, and with that, you can, of course, upload customer lists to get you there faster, that minimum threshold of names where you need to scale. But for the most part, you're going to be making money here for a while, okay? So you're not even going to need to upload customer lists or anything like that, even though you still should. And once this taps out up here, now you're going to be ready to turn on optimized targeting, okay? Before we get into the case studies, if you haven't taken time to go to my site and check out my blog, you should check that out as well. You can find that at guaranteedppc.com/blog. If you haven't subscribed to the channel either, you should absolutely do that, because I'm revealing the real information about how to make money with ads on this channel that nobody else is talking about. You'll do yourself a huge freaking favor following this channel, and you're not going to find other information that's better, because I'm a practitioner. Other people on YouTube, they're just talking about ads mainly. So you should do that. And then if you have a question for me, you can always leave me a comment in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment there. I also got a great Discord group that I run and answer questions in as well. You can find the link to that Discord group in the video description as well. You can also reach out to me at my firm. I do private consult calls, coaching calls with agency owners and regular companies alike. Of course, what I do at our firm to make money and how this channel is even possible is I do done-for-you services for clients. So, and we guarantee clients results in that we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in their profitability of their ads up front, or a certain minimum benchmark of results, sales, or leads, qualified leads. And if you would like a quarter projection of the results we can get for your firm, doing it all for you, I provide that for free. All you got to do is just reach out to me at my site at guaranteedppc.com. And for that matter, as a side, some of you guys don't want done-for-you services. You like running your own stuff. I understand that. Some of the market that's what they're going to do. They want control of their investment. However, if I've worked in your market before, and I've worked in hundreds of niches now, been doing this for 20 years now, okay? Ultimately, what you can get from me is a template that works for your niche market. You copy the ads, the landing pages into your account and get the same results we're getting in another geography than where you're at, different country, different city. And you didn't have to go through all the living hell that we did to figure out how to get those results in that market. And so we sell that for a one-time fee. If you're interested in that, let me know. I can tell you what markets we got results in and how much results we got in those markets up front. With that said, getting into the case studies here now. All right, now we get to the good stuff. The mole removal company that I was speaking about earlier, to let you know how much this made / how long it took to where we were in position to scale our campaigns. Well, the answer to that is, first of all, when we got to about 3,000 sales in the ad account as a whole, all right, we were able to scale this with optimized targeting already, okay? And ultimately, we only had around 100 conversions in that campaign. So the lesson here being, there really doesn't have to be that many conversions in your campaign if you're in a fairly broad market, as long as your other campaigns have gotten a lot of conversions. It's similar to kind of how PMAX works. PMAX will typically work better if you've racked up a ton of conversions in your account before you turn it on. This is basically the same way, but I would say even on steroids or to the next level. Ultimately, with our demand gen campaign, we were getting 50 to 100 sales a day once the campaign got into optimized targeting, and it was able to, where the engine was going based upon just looking at the customer data itself and going to town on it itself. So we're talking about $1,000+ a day in sales just off this demand gen campaign alone. And that's actually just at the time. We then started to just continue to scale it, because the beauty about all this, while you go through all this hell to set all this up, figure out the perfect offer and all this, is once it starts working, the sales will just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. If you're in a broader market, like I said. And that's what we got with this particular company and this particular campaign type, literally making millions of dollars off of a demand gen campaign in this market, because We had enough data from the other campaigns to run it, and we're using optimized targeting. That's number one in terms of the case studies. Now, kitchen remodeling space, by the way, which, to take it backwards here, if you're wondering, by the way, of that like mole removal product, what was our offer? This is one of the rare instances where we didn't have to have an exciting offer because it's kind of a niche product, if you will, still, but we had a guarantee that the product would work. That's what we kind of used there as our hook. The kitchen remodeling company, going into that though, it was a totally different angle that we had to come up with because it's a boring market. Frankly, nobody gives about another kitchen remodeling company come across their computer, even if they're in market for it. How can you think outside the box to get people's attention? Well, in this case, we actually gave people a free virtual demo of their kitchen, of what it's gonna actually look like. And I actually got this from the pool builder space. So in-ground pool installation. In that space, they have software that allow you to physically see the entire thing. Now, most guys are gonna say, I'm not gonna give that to people for free. They're just gonna waste my time. Well, you can be close-minded like that, but you could also realize nobody's gonna respond to you if you just say you just do, pool installation. Nobody gives a shit about that at all. Even if you say you have good reviews, nobody really is gonna jump on that when they see the ad. But you offer me a free rendering of what my kitchen's gonna look like, because you gotta think about it, it makes sense. If I'm planning a kitchen remodeling job, my biggest problem right now is figuring out what do I want the kitchen to look like, and is it gonna work in my kitchen? If I could send photos of my kitchen, have somebody give me a free consultation where they're gonna ask me questions and then show me what my kitchen looks like, that's actually very helpful. And there's no commitment to go with them, I'll take you up on that offer. And that's exactly what we did. In this case, before the campaign really started to scale, we had to upload for 1,600 past customer names. And then even after that, it took the account to get at least 700 conversions as a whole between all our campaigns, qualified ones, that is, before the campaign really started to take off. And before that, it kind of just, 5 or 10 leads a month, something like that. But once it got to that minimum threshold there, the results started to scale itself. And we're getting 50 plus leads a month in this major market here just from demand gen in this market, which if you don't know anything about this market, it's huge because kitchens are expensive. We're talking, $50,000 for a kitchen. So now we're generating several $1 million a year revenue just off the backs of this demand gen campaign. And because we did more than what our competitors are frankly willing to do, giving them a free rendering of their kitchen just for entering a form with no obligation to buy from us. And of which, by the way, if you're wondering about that, the rate in which we turn leads off of Google search into sales was the same basic rate of what we're turning people requesting a rendering into a client as well, about 15%. Why? Because they're not going to go through all that and not buy, and they already trust you because they went through the whole process with the sales guy. So the leads are just as good as Google search leads. I'm going to pretty much wrap it up with that. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. How you scale demand gen campaigns and what we have done and do it in the past so you can do it for yourself. Now go out there and do it. I expect you to do this. Don't just sit around watching my videos and then doing nothing. That makes me sad. Go and do it. Thank you.
If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.